So if you've watched Game Room for a while, then you know that I'm a big fan of fighting games, and my favorite has to be Street Fighter. So this year, I was so hyped up for Street Fighter V that I couldn't even put it into words. Up until the moment that I started playing it, and I found out it had a small collection of characters, janky online matches, massive delays in the story mode, and no arcade mode. I'm sorry. I know I'm reviewing another game right now, but can I just get one of these in here real quick? Thanks. Okay, I know it's been like 8 months, but I feel like I have to keep hammering this home. They released a Street Fighter with no arcade mode. It's like making a Final Fantasy game without side quests. Congratulations, Capcom. You made the Final Fantasy 13 of Street Fighters. What's that? Oh, right, I'm reviewing a completely different game. Sorry, but as I was saying, I was a little let down by Street Fighter, and all year round, I've been needing to scratch that fighting game itch. Well, lucky for me, King of Fighters 14 came out, and it could very well be the savior of fighting games this year. However, I'm going to go ahead and start this review with a warning. This review is coming from a more casual point of view, because while I do love fighting games, my exposure to the SNK universe is limited to the first Fatal Fury game in arcades when I was a kid, and SNK vs. Capcom 2. So if you're looking for me to review how well this stacks up against the previous installments, yeah, that ain't happening. However, if you are someone who is curious about this game, has never tried it out, and maybe, just maybe, you're still trying to recover from having your heart broken by another fighting game this year, just as an example, then this is the review for you. Now, at a simple glance, King of Fighters comes with the basic modes: Versus, Trials, Survival, Time Attack, and a story mode that doubles as arcade mode. Now, normally, I never applaud a game for this, but again, after recent events, I feel I should give this game at least 1 point for giving us a single player option. And as far as the story goes, it's a bit frustrating because it gives you something. You know that there's this champ calling for another King of Fighters tournament, and honestly, I love this guy. He's a joke character who actually legitimately made me laugh. Halfway through this story mode, we get a cutscene between him and his manager, and it cracked me up, and towards the end, we get another scene that really makes me think, oh wow, this guy is great! I want to see way more of him! Except you don't. You don't see any more of him, and you don't really see much of anyone else. When story mode begins, you pick 3 characters, and if you pick a pre-made team, then after you win, you get a movie that tells you what they're up to. And throughout the game, if you have 2 characters with a history with each other face off, then you'll get a brief dialogue exchange between the 2 of them, giving you something of an idea of their relationship. Which is cool, but I feel like fighting games at this point have advanced their stories to a point where we expect a bit more. And as I said, we might not have gotten a lot, but what we got was good, but that actually made me upset that we didn't get more. And I love crazy characters in fighting games. The weirder, the better. And King of Fighters has no shortage of that. I mean, for God's sakes, there's a guy who dresses like a giant dinosaur, and what the hell is she supposed to be? But as I said, I didn't really have any connection to these characters before playing, and they didn't really care about introducing you to any of them, so I wish that when you began story mode they had at least given you some kind of an intro to these characters, or maybe there was some kind of a title card that gave you their backstory as a loading screen, or located somewhere in the extras. I know it's small and not important in the grand scheme of things, but gaining a connection to these characters does go a long way to convince me to keep coming back and keep training with them so that I can learn everything about them. As I said, the little interactions before each match do help, and they are a nice touch, and I'm not saying that you need to reboot the whole franchise to make it more accessible to new players. Just, you know, give me something to help me figure out what the hell you're talking about. Yeah, like that. What the hell are you talking about? But for all those fighting game fans out there who aren't insane like me and are here for the actual fighting, or as many of you would call it, the whole point of the game, yeah, you're going to be pretty happy with this. As I said, this game has no shortage of characters, and I know there are a lot of people out there who say, oh, I only need 10 or 11 characters. Not me. If I'm putting $60 down for a game, it had better be loaded with characters, and they did their job on this one. But most importantly, this game doesn't just have quantity, it also has quality as well. Each character feels unique. Nobody feels like a clone of another character. And if you are one of those people who only want to learn one character and main them, then you can do that online. So it really is a game that accommodates many different types of players. And as for the combat system, again, as I said, I have very little experience with the SNK fighters, but one thing I do remember is the insane supers and combos, and apparently after decades, that has not changed. And it's not just crazy combos, it's that this game is very cancel heavy. One of the things that I like about games like Street Fighter or Marvel vs. Capcom is that those combos flow from one step to the other pretty well. You can go from punch to kick to form a simple, easy to remember combo. In this game though, you need to be right next to your opponent to start a combo since each punch kind of pushes your opponent away a little bit, and every combo involves you canceling one move to go into another, which is another complaint that I want to bring up. I'm glad that the tutorials teach you how to do these crazy combos like canceling from one super into another super into yet a third super, which, by the way, if you actually pull that off, you will almost instantly win the match. But I'd also like it if they taught you how to do a simple punch, kick, punch combo. It would have made it way easier for me to learn how to use these characters. I mean, just as an example, Street Fighter 4 gave you 24 trials to complete with each character, which is a nice progression and it covers a lot of territory with each character. In this game, you have your first trial, pretty easy, okay, not bad. Second trial, okay, getting a little bit trickier, but I can handle this. Fifth trial,
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
In fact, I had to go on YouTube and find other people making combo videos to learn what the heck I was supposed to do. So, this game does indeed have a detailed and impressive combat system. I just wish they had done a little bit more to try and teach it to you, that's all. Although, I will say that if you're having trouble learning the combos, this game took a page from the Persona fighting series and gave you a one-button, easy combo system where you can just keep hitting light punch and you'll automatically go into a combo. Problem is that if you have your meter up to at least 1 bar, then when you finish that combo, you'll automatically do a super. Which can be a good thing if you want to do extra damage right now, but it can also be a bad thing if you're trying to save that meter up to do a larger super later on. So it's a simple mechanic that both rewards and punishes the player, which I actually have to applaud. It forces you to actually think before you go in and start doing this one-button combo. And speaking of using your more powerful supers, there's also a new mechanic called Max Mode where it will consume 1 meter, then for a limited time each of your special moves will be more powerful, which again creates the potential for brand new combos, and if you perform a super during Max, then it will automatically be bumped up to the more powerful version of itself. So, to sum up, the combat in this game is complicated, but it's kinda genius, and if you're willing to learn it, then you can do all kinds of crazy moves. Although I will say that if you want to go online and test out your skills, prepare for some rough times when you start, because I don't know how it is for everyone else out there, but my first match when I was still at rank 0 was going up against someone who was at rank 20. Yeah, this was like 3 days after the game came out, so someone who had not played at all versus someone who had been playing non-stop. So, you know, that could be improved a little. But overall, despite being a bit basic, this game still provides you with a solid combat system and many characters who feel different and dynamic. And while many have complained that the graphics look like they're from the last gen, I honestly don't have a problem with that. I think last gen graphics are still pretty darn good when it comes to fighting games, and even if the characters are a bit basic and their hair looks like, well, that, the backgrounds are still great, and there's tons of stages to choose from, so that does indeed help. And I wish the story had been a bit deeper and they'd given us more extras than just a gallery, but end of the day, the game still succeeds at what it's going for. So far this year has been a little lacking when it comes to fighting games. There was no Mortal Kombat, no Guilty Gear. Pokken was fun, but it wasn't quite what I was looking for in a fighting game. And Street Fighter V was, well, you know how I feel about Street Fighter V. So this is probably the best fighting game of the year so far. Don't know if I'd say that if it came out in any other year, but hey, it's like a burger from Five Guys. It's not an A-class gourmet burger, but it's still pretty tasty and it does get the job done. I've gotta stop giving out metaphors as my final score. It's making me hungry. I'll be right back. I gotta go, Five Guys. Hey, thanks for watching, everyone. If you like this, then hit that subscribe button. We do Game Room each week on this channel where we just geek out about video games, but we cover everything else from the world of geekery like comics and movies throughout the rest of the week. Also, if you want to support this channel, then the easiest way to do that is simply to share these videos and give us a thumb up. Thanks again for watching, everyone, and come back next time.